Welcome back, everybody. Now, the next step that we are going to do is we are going to be working on our schema. So let's get started. So the way we start on the schema is we are going to make a new folder in our backend, just like that, and we are going to call it models. Okay, and then next, what we're going to do is inside of the models folder, we are going to make our file. So it's going to be called blog schema, just like that, .js. Perfect. So opens the file perfectly. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is, in order to use our schema or mongoose that we're going to use with our schema file, we're going to have to import it. So we are going to write, just as we did here, we're going to type in const mongoose equals require mongoose, just like that. Okay, perfect. So the next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to create the schema. So when creating the schema, what we are going to do is we are going to enter const, make a variable, and then call this blog schema. And then we're going to equal it to new mongoose schema, because we're creating a new schema, remember that? And then we're just going to open the parentheses, and inside of it, this is where we are going to input our values that we are making, or we are going to want for our API. So since it is a blog, what we are going to ask for is our title, and that is a string. The next thing that we want is, let me just make a comma here. Next thing that we want is our preview. That way we can preview it in the home page as well. And that one is also a string. And then our blog. So this one, we can call it a post here. And then this is also a string. Okay, just like that. Awesome. So now that we have our post here, the next thing that we want is we want a created timestamp. So we are going to just add it. I'm going to copy and paste it here. I copied it and I pasted it from another file that I had. I don't always remember like exactly which are, but I know that I want to use the created at. So the type this time, instead of a string, it's going to be a date. Okay. And then you're going to put comma and then default and then date dot now. And the same goes for, let's say if you wanted an age and you wanted to input a number, you can just input number. And that's how you would go about entering it in our schema here, or in your schema. Okay. So once again, let's just go over it. We're installed in this blog schema, new blog schema JS file that we created inside of our models folder. In our backend, we want to use mongoose to help create our schema. So we are going to import mongoose. So we're going to do mongoose, a constant mongoose equals require mongoose. And then we are going to create a variable called blog schema. And then we're going to equal it to new mongoose schema. So it's pretty much like a new schema that we're making, a new collection in values in the collection. And what we want in our API, we want a title, which is a string. We want a preview, which is a string. And we want a post, which will be our blog. And we want a string as well. And then we want created at, which is our timestamp. And then, which is type, and we put date in curly brackets, and then you could input a comma and then default date now. That way when you're posting your blog, you don't have to pre-fill like add this in. You can just add the title, preview, and post, and then this will automatically be added into your database and your collections, along with your new API or your new value, which is pretty cool. Okay, perfect. So now that once we have that here, next thing that we're going to do is we want to take this whole thing and put it into a variable. So it's pretty much taking all of these eggs and putting it into one basket. That way it will be easier for us to use. because if not, then we'll have to take out this whole thing and then use it, and then it'll just create a mess pretty much. So what we're going to do is we are going to make a new variable, and we're going to call it const blog, just like that, equals, okay, and then we're going to say mongoose dot model, and then open parentheses, and then inside of the parentheses we're going to make blog the same way. You can just say it with a capital B here. That way is the same. And then we are going to say blog schema, just like that. Okay. So once again, we're taking this whole new schema that we created and we're putting it in our blog. That way for future use, we can just use blog and whatever that case may be. Let's say it's find or blog delete by find by ID and delete, or find by ID and update. We can just use blog instead of this whole thing. That way it makes our life a lot easier. Okay. So lastly, in order to use this in another file, we just have to add this module dot exports equals blog, which is this. So perfect. So that's pretty much just letting any other file that you're looking to use, hey, I'm ready to go, just add me into your installations here, or you're importing, and you'll be able to use me in that file. So the last thing that we're going to do here is we're just going to add it here or import it. So we're going to go const and blog, and remember, because it's this blog here, and that's what we put for this whole schema. Okay, so we have blog and equals require, of course, and then this time we are going to just find the folder. So we put dot / and then models, and then / blog schema. So as you can see, app crashed, and then app is good and ready to go. So look at that, guys. We're pretty much good to go here for our schema. So you can just take this out. That way we don't want to add another schema later on. And we're pretty much done for the next for this video, and it's on to the next one, in which we will be getting our get requests, which will be interesting. So stay tuned. See you then.